Hey, what's up everybody? This is Donovan back again with another movie review for you guys. And this movie review is going to be for the 2019 cosmic horror film Color Out of Space. Alright, now this movie was directed by Richard Stanley. It's starring Nic Cage, Joely Richardson, Madeline Arthur, Brendan Myers in this, and also Tommy Chong is actually in this. This is a relatively small cast. So this movie, like I said, is a cosmic horror film that's based on an HP Lovecraft story. It's about this family that lives in a farmhouse on a plot of land or whatever, and a meteorite lands in the front yard. Once that happens, a sort of extraterrestrial alien type force starts to kind of infect this family and their home and the surrounding land, starts to get into their minds, starts to physically change them and things around them, animals around them, and just really starts to kind of slowly wreak havoc as this family and the world as they knew it starts to just twist and change and kind of descend into a sort of madness, I guess. Just almost a classic cosmic horror Lovecraftian type situation, really. So this movie, I generally have a positive feeling about this movie. I liked it. I was intrigued by it. I enjoyed kind of the world that was unfolding on the screen in front of me. What I will say, there are kind of some little flaws here. There's some things that you can maybe nitpick about. There's moments where Nic Cage seems a little over the top or a little kind of hammy, but part of me felt like, well, maybe this is really just supposed to be an example of him kind of falling into madness of some sorts. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't notice it, and if it didn't stand out as a negative to me, as something where it's kind of like basically bad acting. But I know Nic Cage is a talented guy, and I generally root for him. I'm a fan of him for the most part, but his work can be hit and miss in terms of the type of performance he gives off. Not necessarily, I'm not questioning his commitment to the work, but just sometimes certain things don't really hit right, and there's a few acting moments in this that don't really hit right for me. But what will make it kind of forgivable is if it's really just it's an example of him just going mad in this movie, and that's why it seems so off, in terms of the tone and whatnot. So but other than that, there's no real major acting issues. The whole cast does a generally good, acceptable job in this movie. What I did like about the movie, special effects were pretty strong, practical effects were really strong, especially in this one specific scenario. I'm not going to give away anything in this film. I don't want to do any spoilers or anything like that, so I won't give away what's going on in this scenario. But it's a very strong scenario. When this moment happens in the movie, it actually bumped the movie up a notch for me in terms of how I viewed it, because this was such a kind of shocking visual and kind of tragic scenario that happens to I'll just say a set of characters, two characters this scenario happens to. And it was a very strong moment in this movie, very strong practical effects, very well done. And then just the visual effects in general, in terms of obviously the visual representation of this alien extraterrestrial force, really obviously the pinkish, purplish, mainly pinkish hue and color that just permeates this whole film, that really just kind of serves as an example of the extraterrestrial presence in this movie. When you see that heavy kind of pink color, you already know things are about to go bad or get worse, you know what I mean? So visually, this is a very well done movie, looks good, all of that type of stuff. This movie was done by the same people. It's my understanding that it was done by the same people, producers of Mandy, which way back when I did a review for Mandy, and I'm a fan of that movie. I thought that movie was an experience. I remember when I first kind of saw the trailer for the movie for Mandy, I was extremely hyped and looking forward to seeing the movie, and then when I finally did see it, it definitely was an experience. Just such a kind of wild and crazy movie, not for everybody, but I walked away feeling like, yeah, that was a really interesting, really good film. Color Out of Space, I don't think is really on Mandy's level. For me personally, I might have to rewatch Mandy, but just as I think about it now, I wouldn't put Color Out of Space on that level in terms of, you know, quality of film and just how much I liked the film. But it is worth a watch, especially if you're into cosmic horror, and obviously if you're really into the HP Lovecraft thing, because this is based on one of his stories. So you definitely will want to see this movie if you're into those things. I enjoyed this movie. My score for this, though, it's a nice little score, respectable but nothing over the top. 7 out of 10 for Color Out of Space. Like I said, I recommend this to any cosmic horror fan, any HP Lovecraftian type horror fan. I definitely recommend it for those purposes. But it's not going to be for everybody. It won't even be for every horror fan, because there are different styles. If you're mainly into slashers, this isn't going to do it for you. You know what I mean? So I think I'm going to leave it there. I don't know if there's anything else I needed to say about this. Yeah, that's about it. But I will touch back real quick on the visuals. There's moments in this movie where it's very kind of fantasy realm like visuals. A lot of shots where it almost looks like a computer wallpaper. You know what I mean? Those kind of fantasy composite images that you often see on like the covers of Trapper Keepers and, you know, desktop wallpapers and phone wallpapers and all that type of stuff. So it is a very kind of visually striking film. That color that they use in this movie, it is effective. It kind of reminds me of, there was this alien movie years and years back, maybe in the mid to early 2000s, called Skyline, it was a real generic movie. It was only in theaters for like 2 weeks before it, you know, went straight to DVD and stuff. And the thing about that, it was about an alien invasion, but a big part of the alien invasion was this really strong, bright, light blue color, this bluish color that was just almost kind of hypnotizing in a way. This movie, Color Out of Space, the way they used the pink in this movie reminds me a lot of the way the blue was used in that movie Skyline. It wasn't a real popular movie, so you might not know what I'm talking about. But if you've seen Skyline, you know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't seen it, check it out, because then you'll really kind of be able to understand what I mean by as far as how they use the color very strongly in each of these films. So I'm gonna leave it there. Color Out of Space, 7 out of 10. Check it out. Thank you for watching. As always, I will catch you on the next go round.